Hi everyone, I'm Laura Aural and welcome to my channel. This is actually the first time I'm doing it, speaking live on camera. Um, I normally create my slides with some really nice music and I like publishing that way. I'm a little shy by nature and I actually love my anonymity. I have been reluctant for many years to appear on camera and to speak, so I prefer to do it via the other format. But I find with the current world events and the energy is just moving so quickly and there's a lot of concerns, and people have been asking a lot of questions and they're wanting to hear more from me. So I am being guided or perhaps nudged and feeling a little more compelled to appear on camera and to do it this way. It's also going to be the first time that I'm actually going to be doing a live reading like this. So I'm just going to see what comes through. And because I'm feeling a little awkward, I'm not quite sure how my channeling is going to go. And otherwise, I might do some behind the scenes channeling and answer some of those questions behind the scenes as well. All right, so I noticed with some of the questions here, there are about three from Australia, and some interest around the economy, AI. Um, so the ones where people are actually asking for, there's a request to do Qatar between 2025 and 2035. That's actually a reading on its own. So I would probably do that via a slide, but I'll see what comes through for Qatar or Germany. But I won't actually be doing it for that period because I've got about 14 questions to go through in those two. Unless something comes up specifically for those countries, I won't be going through anything like that. I'll be doing that on a slide. So let's get started. Okay. What I tend to do when I'm reading, I actually when I'm channeling, I don't really look at the camera. I will probably start looking to my left because that's where I start to get my visions and my messages. And when I am actually right in the midst of getting a lot of information downloading, I can probably speak fast. It can just come through, talk. And I've got my little notepad and I'm speaking a little fast now because I am a wee bit, not nervous, but out of my comfort zone, should I say. So I've got my notepad and sometimes I may find it difficult to actually verbalize it. So I may just go and start writing what comes through. And if I go silent during that, that's just me basically doing a download, which I call a brain dump, and it just kind of comes all the way, it comes all out. And then sometimes I may need to decipher it. It can get messy, but I'm going to try it this way. I don't want to be too structured. I just, because this is why sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get the slides up because I do a lot of channeling, a lot of dumping that I've got to sort through, sometimes the symbolisms, sometimes the time frames, and then me and technology don't always get along. So I'm not that bad, but I'm just slow. Okay, let me start with Australia. Haven't really done my prayer beforehand, but let me start with Australia. Okay, so I'm getting I don't know if it's a good thing. What I tend to do is when I actually do get the information through, it is really objective. I don't actually have a personal opinion because it just comes directly through, and I'm a conduit to that information. I've got to get used to looking at this little green dot when I speak. I've got to get used to knowing that there's somebody on the other end of this that's actually going to listen and listen to this. So I try to keep my personal feelings out of it, but they do creep through when it comes through. But when I'm actually relaying the information, it is just purely from source. It's really just coming through. And I've got to make sure that I'm not feeling any judgment towards it because I don't want to slant what's coming through. And I really channeling is channeling. This is not my opinion, not my it's a perception of how I receive information, but it's not my opinion, not my judgment. As yeah. but I did have a reaction to this. So what I did get was Albanese is going to win a second term. And I see Labor in government to 2032. What are we now? 25, 2032. I could be wrong there. I'll have to come back and review that because I'm new to doing it this way. And I haven't really done a prep beforehand. Okay. Let's see the questions in relation to Australia. I've just got to highlight them here so I know. Australia. It is a bit tedious, and please bear with me. I'm doing this raw, and if you don't want me to do it this way again, I will do it beforehand and then just come on board and give you my readings. Or you can just watch me go through it, fumble through it a little bit. Okay, so the two specific questions were, hi Laura, do you think there will be a change in Australian government anytime soon? Do you see real estate prices in Australia going down anytime soon? Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. And the other question, I think it was also in relation to Labor has promised 100,000 homes for first home buyers in Australia. Will they deliver? First response was no, okay, to that question, but the other question, I'll come back to that. Do I think there'll be a change in the Australian government anytime soon? They will definitely see out their term. They're going to see out, Albanese will see out this term. And believe it or not, he's actually going to pick up some popularity. I don't know how he's going to do that, but I feel they've got a few little fringe groups that they're kind of getting together to create some kind of marketing or PR exercise to build a bit of momentum with these promises. The $100,000 towards the houses that they're actually offering is for this, and it is to actually, it's actually to give something because they have something bigger that they want to take. And when I'm saying that, what I do feel very strongly is Albanese specifically will want to start to push. There will be a referendum that will come out. I'm seeing Labor possibly in government up until 2032. I'm really seeing that Labor can mess up the country quite a bit up until that time, to be honest. I really do. But what I'm also feeling is economically, I feel our country is going to do okay. I just got very quickly that there may be some kind of crash, or what appears to be a crash in the property market. So I feel like property is going to go up and then there's going to be a real dip very, very quickly. And I feel like there's a potential for people to actually lose money if they're in the midst of doing things. And I'm actually feeling that they may have some issues. Australia may actually have some issues with China. So the Albanese government's very aligned with the Chinese, and we've got to be careful that we don't become an actual vassal state to China, which I feel like is going down that path. If I'm darting around, I'm just giving you what's coming through, and I'm going to try to put some structure in it when it comes back around. So whatever comes to me, I'm just going to start saying. I'm also getting something about Western Australia. I feel Western Australia is really there's a problem of it being taken over somehow. I don't know whether it gets wiped off our map or because I really feel there's a lot of interest from the Chinese government in our Western Australian region, and I'm actually having a look at the map right now. I'm being shown a map, and if you can actually, if you're an Aussie and you're familiar with the Australian map, Western Australia takes the whole left portion. And so there's a section from South Australia to Western Australia where it merges, and there's like a little portion between northwest South Australia merging into Western Australia. There's going to be of particular interest to the Chinese. It could be in relation to mining, but there's going to be a real lot of interest there. And but I feel they really want to come in and they really want to take control of the desert of the Western Australian region to do specifically with mining. Now, I'm not really familiar. I probably should do some research for next time. But because I'm doing a live reading, I can't do my research in order to put some structure in what I'm getting through. But the positive is that if you're concerned about finances or money, don't be, because looking at investing in rare earth minerals and minerals in general, and for Australia is going to be very powerful for us. There's something unique that's going to come out there that's going to be good for our country, but we need to be, Australia's in danger that China doesn't come over and capture it. I feel like they want to come and capture it. And I feel if the government is perhaps not strong enough, not assertive enough, and doesn't really have the best interest of our sovereignty, our economical stability without having to overly rely and overly invest in China. But there's one thing I know with Australia, if we were cut off from the world, we could be very self-sufficient here. We have a lot of rich minerals and we can bring back manufacturing. A lot can be done here. I also feel manufacturing will start to re-emerge here. America is really having a big influence. Now, even though the Labor government is a little bit, I wouldn't say they're not in conflict with the Trump administration, but they're not very aligned to the policies of what the US is actually, looking at. Make America great again, bringing in manufacturing, making America wealthy again, and some of those policies. And because they're now wanting to heavily invest in oil and gas, I feel we will have an issue with our Prime Minister, who is wanting to be known for pushing the Green New Deal and the agenda. I actually feel this is really our downfall in that regard in energy. And I feel like energy prices can skyrocket. But I also feel that he's going to get quite a bit of backlash. I don't know what the referendum is. I don't know whether he's going to push a referendum. I feel there's going to be two referendums that Labor's going to be pushing. First referendum is they're going to try to reintroduce the voice, even though it was opposed. They're just not everyone in the Labor government is actually going to approve of it. But there's a small group, probably being led by our Prime Minister, or he's part of that. They're really wanting to push it, and also too, there is something in relation to making Australia a republic. That might be a little bit more dangerous for us if we actually break away from the Commonwealth at this point before America reestablishes itself. And while there's a lot of turmoil over in the UK, if we break away from the Commonwealth, we will be very vulnerable to actually be swallowed up by China. So there's a party. I know that there's a Pauline Hanson and a couple of other groups of people who will be pushing very strongly for our national identity, and they are growing a lot of interest. And there's one thing that even though they're wanting to bring in more migrants into our country, and we might be worried about the influx of something like that happening, they're not going to want to be controlled as well and break away, even though there's a lot of backlash regarding colonialism. There are enough patriots in this country to actually fight for our sovereignty and maintain that. But I feel if we break away from the United Kingdom and from the Commonwealth, which is possibly likely, but I feel if they do a referendum before 2032, it will fail. But if they do it after 2032, it may actually pass. So it will really depend on whether they stay in government up until that time. If they're already been in government, so they've got 24, 25, 26, and then they go for another 4 years. I do feel, unfortunately, I feel, and this is purely because of the way things are being run, and I'm worried where things are going as well as a lot of other people. But because I'm actually just getting it in, I've got to be very objective on how I deliver it. I do feel that Labor will actually win another term. I do feel the property markets will actually, the property prices are going to, I just got the word skyrocket. They're going to skyrocket, to answer the question, and they're going to I'm just getting the word almost like a dip crash, and they're going to almost like come back up. We're going to have issues around energy, but I feel that in New South Wales, the actual Premier of New South Wales, Chris Minns, is I feel he won't object to exploring, and I'm not sure if this has actually been discussed, so I probably should do a bit of research for next time, but a bit of nuclear, I think maybe nuclear energy, or I'm not sure of gas, but there will be discussions of actually introducing different types of energy to help reduce the prices. I really do feel that he has New South Wales' best interest at heart. And I feel I need to move on from Australia, because if there are other people looking, watching, they're going to want to know more about, what's happening in their part of the world. But so I think that's all there was in Australia. But I will also say that the government will actually try to start to push going digital identification. It really needs to staunchly be rejected, because if they are moving away from if they're looking at moving away from being part of the Commonwealth, and they start to introduce some of these policies of digital identification, then they're going to do cashless society, and then you've got that Green New Deal with electric cars, and they start to mandate that, we will actually really be in a difficult place. And I feel there are enough people that are actually going to reject that notion. So let me move on to the next question. And once again, excuse me for it being so raw, but this is actually quite neat, because when I do it myself, it can be typing, writing, because I'm not really talking to anybody. Okay. I'm going to bring up Ireland. So I've just done something on the UK. For Ireland, if I look at, so Northern Ireland actually comes under the United Kingdom, and Ireland comes under the European Union. So I will talk about Northern Ireland, and I'm getting that Northern Ireland, if it's not happening now, it will happen. There will be a hell of a lot of protests happening through the streets, and they are going to be rejecting. They're going to be rejecting a lot of these migrants. I don't know if there's violence happening there, but I'm seeing. Now, I know when I did the UK, I saw a lot of violence, and I saw it for everything under the UK banner, but I specifically worked on just the government and London and just the feel of it. But if I go specifically into Ireland, I see fighting in the streets. I see protests. I see a lot of anger and fighting in the streets. Now, I'm not sure, the person who's asking this question, I actually feel, I'm not sure if the government there, if economically it's a bit wobbly. But I feel economically it is a bit wobbly, whether it's happening now or whether it will actually come. Because these are just mini readings, I do plan on doing a actual slide reading specifically for Ireland. So I'll just see what else comes through. Otherwise, I will move on. I'm actually I'm actually getting that they're looking at invest. I'm not sure if there's talks about oil and gas for Ireland as well, to be honest. I do feel that people are starting to move away from this green energy and starting to look at some some I'm getting oil and gas. I don't know whether you've got oil in your region or whether you buy oil, but I'm starting to get that they're going to be looking at bringing oil back. They need a little bit more stability. Um, and the people who are rising up, they're quite a lot of people, and I feel it's actually shaking the government a little bit, and they're going to be rolling back some of the policies that they were trying to push forward. I don't know where I'm looking, that they were trying to push forward, and so I feel that the people power is rising and emerging and will actually have influence. And I do see conflict in the street, and the conflict is actually the aggression is coming from the native people from Ireland that are not happy with the influx of what's happening and what's being created with a lot of countries across the globe as well. Now, and it's not the migrants who are needing the help, it's actually the people who are coming in who are causing disruption and chaos and who are wanting to change the landscape of how things are actually culturally, they're wanting to change things in the countries that they're coming to. And so that is going to get, I see Ireland, the Irish is going to get a severe backlash for that. I do see economically, it is a bit wobbly. I sort of feel it'll be a little bit stable and it can kind of dip. But like I said, I will actually explore that further when I do. I just want to keep going because I don't know how long I've been speaking for right now. The next question I'm going to look at doing. Can you please read Iran? Will the monarchy return to Iran? I just got yes straight away. I just got yes straight away. Um, so I think if that's the question that I have just very mild understanding. I don't really know much about the Middle East region, just what comes up for me in my channels and what I actually hear or read because I do take an interest in current affairs more now than ever. So I actually feel Iran used to once upon a time almost be like the jewel of the Nile, where it used to be quite a very open and quite a wealthy country. I actually do see there was I believe there was a gentleman, I don't know if it was the prince or somebody who's quite political. I just got that he will re-emerge and he's actually gaining traction. He's gaining support. He's actually got support. Okay, he's got support from the US, from the Trump administration, and he's got support from places like Jordan, some factions in Egypt, I'm not sure, possibly, but he's got some support from surrounding countries to actually reintroduce some of the older style back into Iran. And I do feel now I know that I've said it before in one of my readings. It came to me again. I said something about Al Qaeda is going to kind of disappear and ISIS is going to rise. I feel ISIS will begin to rise, and there will be that rising to try to destabilize what's trying to be fixed in that region or healed in that region. Yeah, but I do feel that there is enough support and enough strength, even with the people, to actually go behind that. So there could be some success, but I don't want to say too much just in this brief reading because I really want to have a little bit of time to just reflect quite a lot on and not reflect, read and do something on the Middle East. And so I believe Iran would be part of that as well. So I'll move on. Latin America and its economy in the next, okay, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not going to do anything between 25 and 35. That in itself is a reading on its own. It's large. It takes a bit of time putting it together. And specifically Panama or any country near there, apparently they're trying to build another Dubai there. Okay, I wasn't aware of that, but I just got, yes, they are. So thank you for letting me know. So with the Panama Canal, I don't know. I know that the Trump administration is actually asserting their control back with the Panama Canal. But I do feel that there's some resistance happening there. But I'm just getting that the Trump administration is actually building momentum, and they're building momentum, and they're moving quickly. Um, and there are a couple of people from the Trump administration that are actually working specifically there for that. I don't know what specific you want to know at this point. I'm not getting too much, to be honest. I'm just getting a little bit of caution where there potentially could be a little bit of fighting. I'm looking down because I'm reading the question, but there could be a little bit of, perhaps a little bit of conflict, or what's the word? Agitation. That a little bit of hostility or agitation, that is not hostility, but yeah, a little bit of back and forth, that people are going to try to assert themselves. But I feel the Trump administration, with their ideas, will actually progress through. And they're really, I feel like I'm getting that they're going to bulldoze through. They're going to be unapologetic about it, and they're really going to bulldoze through to get what they want. Um, I won't, I'm getting nothing on the economy at this point. The only thing I got is Mexico is going to have a crash. That's what I got right now, but I'm not going to go too much into that right now because I'm not getting too much. I'm just getting Mexico economy could possibly crash, and there could be, I'm getting almost like a civil war happening, unless it's already happening. I'm not familiar with it because I don't really follow those regions. But I'll put it on my list of the many other ones that I've got to do. And unless you've got something specific, you can put it out on the community and I can look at it for next time. Okay, I'm just going to highlight that. I'll come back to that one. Okay. Okay, reading on Crete in Greece, as I'll be moving there from the UK. I'm getting very positive feeling about Greece. I'm actually feeling that when I was doing my top 10 predictions, I didn't put it in, but I actually got that Greece will be probably the first country that will actually consider leaving the EU. If they're not thinking of it now, or if they're not publicly talking about it now, I feel there may actually be movements about that coming in the near future. I'm getting the Greece, the economy. The economy is actually going to soar. They really learnt a lot. They had a crash some years ago. They really had a lot of problem, and I feel that they believe that some of the problems were actually in relation to being part of the EU. I don't know. They may have got swallowed up as being part of that. But they have come through there. I don't know whether they've got new people in government, but I'm seeing new people in government. If there's some elections coming up, possibly, but I'm actually seeing new people in government, and they're very aligned. They're wanting to actually do more for the economy, and they're wanting to work more with America, is what I'm getting, because I feel like there's somebody who's underrated and sort of lying low and not seeing much, but they will actually start to make a move, in terms of make a move for their own country, and they will start to be recognised. But I'm seeing that they will possibly be the first to make a move in exploring the possibility of leaving the EU. And I'm getting within the next 10 years, if not sooner. I'm getting 8 is significant, possibly even before then. I'm not quite sure, but I'll have to do a reading specifically on EU for that. So I hope that's enough. But in terms of Greece, Yeah, I'm getting very positive feelings about that. I feel Greece is probably one place to go. I feel like it doesn't have a very strong economy at the moment, but it's actually building, and it will. I'm not sure how strong the economy is at the moment, but I actually feel it will be building, and it will be a good place to live. And you will get good value for your dollar if you move there. Particularly if you're from the countries like the UK or the US, where the dollar, well, they're under euro as well. So, but yeah. Um, okay, let's move on. Okay, a couple for Canada. Hi, Laura. Will Alberta separate from Canada? Will Carney the crook still be Prime Minister of Canada? And can you do a video on crypto and metals, please? Thank you for all that you do. And the other question is, will Canada send back immigrants? Our healthcare system, do you see the government invest in helping patients with medical treatments and costs? Do you see justice and truth come out on how Canadian government are using taxpayer money for laundering to other nations? Housing, will it be affordable? You're probably overwhelmed with all the questions. Hopefully, one day our world will come together in peace. Yes, I feel we all pray. That's why everyone's really concerned and asking questions, and I feel that's why I'm being guided to do this, step outside my little shell and do this. So will what am I getting for Canada? I just got Carney. What's his name? Is his name Carney, the Prime Minister? What did you say back then? You called him a crook. I've lost it. Um, your Prime Minister, I just got he's going to go. Carney. Carney is going to go. I feel he's actually he seems like when I'm kind of I don't feel he's a very strong presence for your country. I feel he tries to be a diplomat and not necessarily peacekeeper, but the diplomat and to try to say the right thing. But I feel there are too many people around him who are pushing an agenda, and he's trying to keep the peace while he's pushing their agenda. And I feel like he's not really regarded, or he won't be regarded. I just don't feel he's the presence that Canada needs to move forward. I do actually see Canada. Now, you just had an election. I see that this government that's currently in power won't be in power for much longer. The government will change. Um, but Carney won't be ousted. He'll probably be in because I feel he's got the personality where he can kind of keep things at bay and keep things calm. He's got the soothing voice where he speaks sweet nothings over here while they're pushing the agenda, enough to sort of keep the Trump administration happy. But I do feel that he is pushing the agenda by what a lot of Canadians aren't happy with, to be honest. I actually feel that they're not very popular. And I actually feel that they should have lost the last election, but it was whatever happened with Trump coming into power and whatever PR stunt that they pulled that they actually won that election. But Carney came in before, because I saw Justin Trudeau, not, yeah, Justin Trudeau, I just see him disappearing. But I do see new leadership. But I see he will more likely be there until the next election. I feel like they're going to try to force an election beforehand. Um, I'm seeing something, I don't know how often your elections take place, but I'm seeing in 2 years, they're going to be pushing to have an election early. And I do see Carney in there for a little bit longer. Not really doing much except for trying to keep it the lid on things while they still try to roll out what they don't want somebody divisive doing their agenda. In terms of will Alberta become secede and become the 51st state to America? I just got right now, no, not likely, not soon. I really feel it's going to really, it's not going to happen too quickly. If it is going to happen, they're going to wait for the next election. If this government wins again, there's something that they're definitely going to be considering. But I don't see this government winning again, and purely because the Republicans are going to win another term after Trump leaves office. They would have built too much momentum. There are too many people rising across the globe that are actually becoming more conservative by nature because of what's been happening globally. And so I don't see, I see the threat is there, and the threat is real of the Albertan, I don't know whether you call them a premier or a governor. I'm not quite sure what you say for Canada. This is why when I do my slides, I do a little bit of that background check so I can word it correctly in my slides. But I feel that is it a woman in power? Because I'm getting a feminine energy, but I'm getting very strong personality in Alberta, and very strong thoughts and ideas of her position of what she wants, and she's going to be pushing for that. And I do feel if it's a she, if it's not, forgive me, but the energy that I'm getting is I'm getting she. So if it's a woman, very strong masculine energy, but if it's a man, it's got that feminine aspect to it, if that makes sense, because I'm getting female coming through, unless the next person who comes through is a female. But not at this point. I don't see them until the next election. I see the next election, they're going to push for it to be an early election. The other questions were, whatever Canada is doing at the moment in relation to the migrants or immigrants, however they're coming through, they're being a little bit tempered because the Trump administration is forcing the hand for Canada, and Canada's needing America. They're needing them for Space Force. They're needing them for quite a lot of things to be included in those things. So Carney is the best person to represent Canada at this point, because he will know how to get along with Trump, but Trump knows what they're behind the scenes they're trying to do, and Trump will be very strong in pushing for change. And at the moment, he's got other things that he's focused on, that he's just going to ride it with Canada at the moment. But I don't see the immigrants returning at this point, to be honest. I feel that there's going to be some resistance. There's going to be justification. I feel like you are going to have an issue with housing, affordability in housing, to be honest. I feel the next 2 years might be a little bit rough for you, but just knuckle down and ground yourself, because it will pass, and it will actually get better for you. This government won't be on power. I see 2-3 years max, but I really see something around 2 happening. There's going to be a big shift in Canada, and it will be a very positive shift for you. And I feel either there's somebody in Alberta who's very strong at the moment, that is female, or a female's going to come in that's really going to be pushing for a lot of things for that state. And because of that threat of them wanting to leave, they're going to take a little bit more control of what happens. The truth will start coming out. It's actually already starting to come out. And to be honest, it's almost like a dirty secret that everybody knows how things are being run. But unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption within the government, and there's a lot of corruption everywhere, to be honest. And they have got a little bit of a hold on how they get that narrative out. But the truth is coming out, and people are rising, and they're less fearful to rise now because of the Trump administration. They are less fearful. And because of what Alberta is doing, they are actually starting to lose their grip a little bit. So just hang tight and things will change for you there. Something about crypto. Okay. And somebody else asked about crypto as well. Let me just mark that. I hope I've answered all your questions in relation to that. I can only answer what's coming through. And as I'm not an economist or anything like that, and I'm not, I'm just psychic medium, just sharing what's being, and I'm the conduit of sharing the information as objectively as I possibly can. Okay. The other thing for crypto in general, let's talk about crypto. Crypto definitely will take off and it will become more mainstream. And I don't know whether you're all familiar with what I believe the Trump media group has recently purchased or merged with Bitcoin and made a very large purchase of, I think, like $800 million in crypto or something like that. So I feel the Trump administration at the moment has actually he's actually brought together a very good cabinet and a very savvy cabinet when it comes to long-term economy, and that honestly, Trump is playing 5D chess. This bloke is super intelligent when it comes to, I think, because of his experience of being president before, what had happened to him and his desire to really want the best for the country. This is what I'm seeing and perceiving, and also too, it is my honest feeling as well, my honest opinion on that. So I'm just going to just express that. I feel crypto is going to take out. Now, I feel there's going to be some kind of hybrid that's going to be introduced, because I don't believe that their administration is going to want, the Trump administration is going to want a cashless society. They're going to do some kind of, what do you call it? Hybrid, where there'll be cash and something with crypto, but it's going to become more mainstream. So if you want to start investing, you start, exploring crypto, start exploring minerals, and rare earth minerals in particular. And what I got before when I was actually channeling for the top 10 was copper, lithium, and there were a couple of others that were specifically, and gold and silver are really something that's going to really become quite strong. And also to cattle. It just came to cattle. I don't know whether you can actually invest in cattle, but I'm getting cattle, and my cat's about to jump up. And as I'm coming to the end of this, do I see an economic crash? Hello. Do I see an economic crash happening in the US? And my cat is distracting me. Hey, buddy, this is Mishka, if you can see him. No, I don't see the economy crashing in the US. I feel that the biggest issue that they have at the moment is if this shutdown continues to go on and the powers that the administration have. But I feel that the Trump administration is doing enough with tariffs to be able to sustain things quite well. I feel they've been very, very good economically, and it's going to get stronger. There may be a little bit of a dip when things start to rise, like conflict. Even if you were to go to war, you will have a strong economy. That is what I feel very, very strongly. What I'm getting very, very strongly. Hey, buddy. And probably the last question before that. Okay, that's crypto. I think there were two more questions. Germany, I actually feel that Qatar, was it Qatar and Germany somewhere? I can't remember now. How will the stock markets react to general economy? Well, when I was talking about America, the stock markets are going to react based on how Trump is running the administration over in the US, is running the economy over there. And as it's actually, he's distracting me, go off. And as, as, as that's going strong, there is actually a lot of traction that a lot of countries are wanting to follow suit. Let's have a little bit of a drink and look at. I don't see crashes at this point, and I'm just being distracted. So I think I'm going to get ready to wind this down. If anything does come up, I'll actually put it in another video, because I'll relook at the questions if anything does come up. But at this point, probably the last thing I'm going to look at here, I'd like to know more about the average person can cope with the expect economically. I hope I've covered some of that. The thoughts and futures of AI. It seems the technology may very well end up smarter than humans in the next 10 to 20 years. I hear that as well, possibly. And may okay, I feel a question like that is quite, to give a mini reading is going to be, I'm not going to do it justice, and now I'm being distracted. So sometimes I see that as a sign that Spirit's asking me to wind it down. It's specific to this. As I'm coming to this question, it may be wise that I wind it down. The only thing that I'm going to perhaps end on will be AI is emerging. AI is emerging rapidly. So what I'm actually being told here is you've got to stay grounded and stay connected to the older way. You've got to learn, you've got to keep the ability to use your hands, manually, building, constructing. So whether they're blue collar jobs and those type of things, they're really going to be critical moving forward. And at least for the next 5 to 10 years, if you start looking in those areas of things to do with manufacture, if manufacturing's coming in, yes, robots can come in to replace, but there's still something that I'm getting about working with the hands and manufacturing that's actually going to be good moving forward. I will actually look at doing that probably as a separate video, and I really need to be channeling without distractions, and I'll just highlight that in another color. I don't know whether you can see my screen. But I think that's all I have for now, and anything that I've missed out, you can just put up your feedback in the community if you've want me to continue on with more. Yeah, just when I put up my video, just give me some feedback whether you wanted me to do it this way or whether you want me to do it behind the scenes myself, and rather than instead of doing it as a slide, then actually speak it through instead. So I'll sort of be guided by your needs of how you're wanting me to actually, you're wanting to receive the message from me. So up until that point, I hope I've been able to be of some help, and I'm going to thank Spirit for sharing that information, and I hope I've done it justice. And thank you. Until next time. God bless. Bye.